Donald Trump's speech at the United Nations General Assembly and what happened immediately after that has exposed the hollow core of his Middle East policy. A dangerous combination of grandstanding rhetoric and the strategic emptiness that leaves America directionless in one of the world's most volatile regions. Standing at UN podium, Trump warned Hamas on hostages even as Marco Rubio had just rejected the latest proposal from the Gaza group. And on the other hand, he also shut the door on Palestinian state recognition, calling it surrendering to Hamas. Well, Donald Trump's UNGA speech and subsequent meeting with Arab leaders revealed not a coherent vision for peace, but rather confused fumbling on an administration that wants to have its cake and eat it too. The US President's meeting with Arab leaders from Saudi to Qatar, which he dramatically declared the most important meeting of the day, perfectly encapsulates this strategic vacuum. As per reports, Trump once again proclaimed that we are going to end something that you have probably never started and promised to end the Gaza war maybe right now. Yet no official statement emerged from this supposedly crucial gathering. No joint communique, no agreed framework, and no concrete steps. Just Trump's post-meeting declaration that it was very successful with big players despite Palestine recognition dispute. This absence of substance speaks volume. When world leaders meet to address existential crises, meaningful discussion produces tangible outcomes. But the silence following Trump's Arab leaders summit suggests either complete failure to reach consensus or more likely that there was never a serious plan to begin with. Arab leaders, already frustrated by decades of American bias towards Israel, likely listened politely to Trump's promise while privately recognizing the fundamental contradiction in his position. While correctly rejecting Hamas' demands, something no reasonable actor should accept, Trump simultaneously slammed the door on Palestinian state recognition, calling it surrendering to Hamas and claiming such recognition would be too great a reward for Hamas terrorists for their atrocities. This binary thinking exposes the existence of his diplomatic imaginations. Trump's position creates an impossible equation. He demands Hamas release hostages and accept defeat while offering Palestinians absolutely nothing in return. In fact, he also speaks of reasonable offers that Hamas has supposedly rejected. But what reasonable offer can there be when the United States refuses to acknowledge even the basic legitimacy of Palestinian aspiration for statehood? This isn't diplomacy. It's wishful thinking dressed up as toughness. Well, Trump's approach reflects what Middle East experts have consistently said: strategic incoherence and a patchwork of isolated initiatives rather than coherent policy. He wants to maintain America's unconditional support for Israel while simultaneously claiming the mantle for regional peacemaker. Trump desires Arab partnership in ending the Gaza conflict while refusing to acknowledge Arab concerns about Palestinian rights. This isn't sophisticated diplomacy. It's trying to square an impossible circle. In fact, the president's own advisor reportedly described his approach as improvisational, driven more by personal ego and legacy concern than strategic thinking. In fact, one expert also noted that Trump seems to lack any overall strategy or strategic vision for the Middle East, being primarily concerned about his own legacy rather than sustainable solution. This explains why his administration can simultaneously call for ending the war in Gaza while providing Israel ammunition to continue military operations. In fact, most damaging is Trump's apparent belief that he can simply resolve complex conflicts out of personal charisma and deal-making prowess. His repeated claims about ending 7 wars and his Nobel Prize ambitions reveals a president more focused on headlines than real work. Just a reminder for Donald Trump: real conflict resolution requires acknowledging legitimate grievances from all parties, offering meaningful compromises and building sustainable framework, none of which his approach provides. The tragic irony is that Trump's rhetorical commitment to ending the Gaza war is undermining by his own policies. By rejecting Palestinian statehood while maintaining absolute support for Israel, he has eliminated any incentive for compromise. Well, to conclude, one thing is very clear. His Middle East policy isn't just visionless. It actively perpetuates the conflicts he claims to want to resolve.